Today on the newscast, Russia launches an Iranian satellite into space. How concerned should Israel be about this growing alliance? We break it down next. Hey folks, Eric Steckelbeck here. Welcome to the Watchman Newscast. Israel says that Operation Breaking Dawn, its just concluded military operation against Palestinian Islamic Jihad in Gaza, was a major success. That's good news, and we still have that ceasefire holding up for now on Tuesday, August 9th. But Israel may soon face even larger problems, folks. Chief among them, the growing alliance between Russia and Iran. We had a major development on that front today. Before I get into it, I just want to encourage you to subscribe to the Watchman News channel right here on YouTube and click the notification bell so you get alerts every time a new video is posted. Hey, we posted throughout the weekend about that Israeli operation in Gaza. Check that out in our archives on the homepage under Newscast in case you missed it. Although Operation Breaking Dawn has now concluded, we move on to some other major breaking developments in the Middle East. Russia today launched an Iranian satellite into space. Now, that Iranian satellite is called Kayan. It's apparently named after an 11th or 12th century Persian scientist. Remember, modern-day Iran was ancient Persia. Well, Russia launched this satellite onto a Russian rocket, launched it into space. The launch actually happened in Kazakhstan, which is a former Soviet republic, but according to Russia and Iran, the launch was indeed successful. The satellite traveled into orbit. The big question now is, what will that satellite be used for? There have been various reports coming out of the Middle East, out of European media, suggesting that Russia may use this satellite for surveillance purposes against Ukraine to assist in their war effort there. And then perhaps after a few months of using it to surveil Ukraine, they will then turn control of the satellite over to Iran, and then Iran would use it to surveil Israel and surveil the Middle East. Either way you look at it, not a good outcome, folks. Iran, of course, insists that they have full control now over the satellite, but that is an open question. I don't think Vladimir Putin is assisting in the satellite launch, again, using a Russian rocket out of the kindness of his heart. You would think he's getting something in return from the Iranian regime, but Israel, the United States, the West are clearly concerned about this. Number one, Russia-Iran cooperation in general. We'll hit on that more in a minute. But the surveillance aspect of it, clearly, major concern. But third, and perhaps most importantly, and U.S. intelligence officials have been talking about this for years now, Iran has been playing around, not playing around, testing and trying to successfully launch satellites and develop a space program for several years now. And the U.S. in particular is concerned that that technology, that satellite technology, will be used for Iran's nuclear program. What do I mean? Well, the same kind of technology used to launch a satellite, you would also use in an intercontinental ballistic missile. That's an ICBM for short, and they do exactly what their name says. These ballistic missiles are designed to travel across continents, across oceans. You develop ICBMs for one reason and one reason only: to mount them with a nuclear warhead. So again, the satellite technology Iran is attempting to utilize would be used in that ICBM program. And by the way, those ICBMs are not for Israel. They're not for Saudi Arabia, the broader Middle East. They're not even for Europe. Those ICBMs are designed to be used against the United States, the nation that Iran's regime considers the Great Satan. That is the ultimate target with Iran's ICBM program. And as they march towards the bomb, if they get the bomb, and we don't think that's going to happen here in the newscast, we think Israel will indeed act first to prevent that. But you can bet that Iran's rapidly developing ballistic missile program, they would go all in on trying to find a way to mount the bomb onto a warhead. So again, this satellite program, very important in that regard. What about Russia and Iran and that growing relationship? Major red flag on a lot of levels. Vladimir Putin visited Iran last month, as we detailed here in the newscast. He met with Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei and Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi. They literally rolled out a red carpet for Putin as he got off the plane, and these were very warm meetings in Tehran between Putin and top Iranian officials. And by the way, one top Iranian official said that Russia is, quote, Iran's #1 strategic partner in the world. Quite a statement for an Iranian regime official to make, but that's exactly what he did. And Putin and other Russian officials have said, hey, we want closer ties with Iran. We want to broaden and deepen our ties across every area, economic, military, trade, and folks, they are doing just that. Again, we saw another example of it today with this satellite launch. What does this mean for Israel? Not good. Surprise, surprise. Look, Vladimir Putin has openly aligned himself with Israel's greatest enemies. Whether it's the Iranian regime, the Assad regime in Syria, Hezbollah, Hamas has been hosted in recent months in Moscow as well. Putin has warmly and openly embraced Israel's greatest enemies. You can tell a lot about a man by the company he keeps, and the company he keeps includes the world's #1 state sponsor of terrorism, the Iranian regime, which is devoted to Israel's destruction. So needless to say, call me crazy, but I don't think Israel can put much trust in Vladimir Putin as a true friend of the Jewish state. Along those lines, as we close, Israel's President Isaac Herzog today, also major news here on the Israel-Russia front, spoke to Vladimir Putin by phone, and he essentially lobbied him to not shut down the Jewish Agency. Now, we covered this about 2 weeks ago on the newscast. The Jewish Agency it's not an official Israeli government organization, but it is tied to the government. And what it does is it helps facilitate Jewish immigration to the Jewish state. It helps Jews make aliyah to Israel, their ancient and ancestral homeland. Well, last month, Vladimir Putin's regime in Russia announced that they were shutting down the Jewish Agency in that country. How will the many Jews who want to leave Russia get to Israel without the help of the Jewish Agency? It becomes a lot more difficult. This has really echoes, folks, in the worst way of the Soviet era, where the Soviet era Russian regime prevented Jewish immigration from the Soviet Union to Israel. This was a major, major issue. Are we seeing it again? Will the Jewish Agency be shut down? Certainly Herzog today lobbied Putin hard to keep it open, but it is another sign. It's something we're following very closely here in the newscast, and it is another sign of the unraveling relations between Israel and Russia on many fronts, where Russia, again, has thrown in its lot, thrown its weight, its support behind Israel's greatest enemies, has condemned Israeli actions in Syria, in Jerusalem, across the board. I believe this does have prophetic implications, folks. I believe a great turn, Russia turning against Israel, is eventually coming. We're already seeing it now on in the diplomatic realm for sure, but I believe Russia, that turn against Israel will become even more pronounced in the months and years to come. We are keeping a very close eye on it for sure. Keep this situation in your prayers, folks, because look, Russia is a nuclear powerhouse still. Israel is a nation the size of the state of New Jersey. Here's the good thing. Israel has the ultimate ally on its side, and that is the God of Israel, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, so be encouraged. Hey, tomorrow, Wednesday, August 10th, live stream. We are back with a live stream between 4 and 5 p.m. Eastern Time right here on the channel. Be sure to join us live and bring your questions for our Q&A session. Until then, thanks so much for joining us today. God bless you. And remember, never hold your peace. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the Watchman Newscast. If you enjoyed this episode and want to see more, make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, click subscribe, and tap the bell icon to turn on notifications for new Watchman Newscast episodes every weekday.